Maduro's capture wasn't the end of Venezuela's crisis. It was the moment the story stopped being about one man and became about who controls the future. Because once Maduro was gone, the problem wasn't power, it was chaos. And chaos is what everyone rushes into. That's why Washington moves so fast. Within days, the US signed an executive order that did something very specific and very quiet. It blocked courts and private creditors from touching Venezuelan oil money held in US accounts. Not froze it, not seized it, protected it. That detail matters more than any speech about democracy. Venezuela's oil revenue is the only thing that can restart the country at scale. It pays for food imports, fuel, repairs, salaries, everything. And without protection, that money would have been ripped apart instantly by lawsuits, old claims, and governments lining up to get paid first. So the US stepped in and said, essentially, this money doesn't get grabbed while the country is falling over. That's not altruism. That's control through stability. At the same time, Trump started pitching US oil companies on rebuilding Venezuela's oil infrastructure, talking openly about massive investment while executives quietly admitted they're nervous. Because nobody wants to pour billions into a country if the rules change every 6 months. So right now, Venezuela's oil future sits in a holding pattern. Money protected, pipelines damaged, companies interested but hesitant. And that's only the economic side. On the ground, things look very different. The US State Department has warned Americans to leave Venezuela immediately, not because of a war, but because armed groups, colectivos, paramilitaries, are filling gaps where the state used to be. That's what power vacuums look like in real life. Not flags changing, but checkpoints run by whoever shows up with weapons first. It tells you something important. Removing a leader is fast. Rebuilding control is not. And in that gap, the pressure shifts onto ordinary people. Human rights groups have confirmed that some political prisoners are being released. That's real. But hundreds remain detained, and no one pretends the system suddenly became fair overnight. Those releases aren't a victory lap. They're bargaining chips. They signal willingness to cooperate without surrendering leverage. So zoom out and look at the pattern. The US didn't occupy Venezuela. It didn't declare a protectorate. It didn't announce a reconstruction authority. Instead, it did 4 quieter things. It removed the leadership. It protected the money. It warned its citizens to stay out. And it let local power struggles burn themselves visible. That's a very modern kind of pressure. Because now, every actor, inside Venezuela and outside it, has to deal with the same reality. Nothing works unless the oil money flows, and that flow is being shaped from the outside. This is where critics get uncomfortable. They argue this blurs the line between law enforcement, military force, and economic control. They're not wrong to ask that question, but it's also why this moment matters. Venezuela isn't being rebuilt yet. It's being paused, stabilized just enough to stop collapse while everyone argues over what comes next. And for Venezuelans, that waiting is the hardest part, because none of this feels abstract if you're standing in line for fuel or trying to leave the country, or wondering whether tomorrow is calmer or worse. So here's the real takeaway. This wasn't about Maduro alone, and it's not even about oil by itself. It's about a world where power doesn't always arrive with tanks or flags anymore. Sometimes it shows up as a signature on a financial order. Sometimes it looks like restraint instead of invasion. And the question Venezuela is living with now isn't who's in charge. It's how long a country can be held between collapse and recovery, while the rest of the world quietly decides what it's worth. That's not a theory. That's a human problem. And whatever comes next, it won't be decided all at once. It'll be decided slowly, by money moving, or not moving, while millions of people wait for normal life to start again.